Hello, everybody. I'm Kaela, and this is Scott Horne with some first option title. And I just want to say today, Scott, anybody can close a file. Any title company can close a file. But what makes us different? What sets us apart from everybody?
You know, Kaela, so first off, you got to categorize title companies because in the marketplace, there is your traditional title company. They do your standard retail and refinance type transactions, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, to me, that's the cookie cutter part of our business. You have a seller who owns a home. They've owned it for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. They may have a mortgage on it. That's it. It's clean. And by clean, I mean no child support liens or judgment liens or IRS liens, all that kind of junk on it. And they're selling it to a home buyer who's getting a new mortgage on the property, and it's clean and simple business. And it's cookie cutter. You know, those are the things I say. We sit back and you just watch the clock for 3 hours, and it's only been, you know, just a 5 minutes. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, because it's ordinary business. And a refinance is the same way for the most part. That is the majority of your transactions. And of course, that's a relationship business with the right realtors. They just want to get the deal done and get it closed. And that's probably also the majority of business. You know, our focus has historically been in the investor world. You know, I used to have offices that did a lot of retail business in different areas. But for me personally, it's been the relationship with the investors over the last 30-something years because we get that business so well. And that is where, you know, the rubber meets the road in our business, I think, Kaela, because that's what sets us apart. One, we actually know the business. We actually walk the walk and talk the talk with those investors every day of the week. You know, your traditional title company, they'll say they do. Yeah, no, they don't. Those escrow officers, they don't go out and buy houses. They don't talk to sellers, to buyers. They don't hear what's going on. They don't get it. They just see the commitment that comes in, they deal with it. And so we get the luxury of having, you know, talked to over 30,000 sellers ourselves, understanding the difficulties that arise on these transactions that help us help our client, who's the investor buying that home, navigate that transaction, whether it is dealing with probate issues, guardianship issues, whether it's dealing with lien issues, curative, solving problems for the buyer. Because, you know, at the end of the day, Kaela, if we can't get the deal done, ain't nobody making money, right?
Nobody's making money.
And this business is about making money. We want to make money. The seller wants to sell and make money. The buyer wants to buy so they can make money. That's what this business is about. And, you know, your traditional title company, they'll say, oh, we can handle that. By the way, there are probably some really, really good escrow officers out there who can do it. But our approach, I think, is different. Let me tell you why it's different. So one of the things that I have tried historically with all of our escrow officers, escrow assistants, et cetera, because we do a lot of training on a monthly basis, is it's a recognition issue. And you go out to the traditional title world and you get your commitment in once you order it. We all get the same thing. And maybe there's a judgment lien or something else out there. The first thing they do is the escrow assistant knows to, I'm going to order a payoff. Stop. You know, the first thing is what kind of deal are you doing? Because maybe if you're buying that house subject to the existing debt, you don't want to order a payoff. In what worst case, you want to order a reinstatement if it's behind in payments. But the title company doesn't do that. That's usually between the investor and the seller. So now they've ordered this payoff, the waters get muddied. But that's what they do traditionally. They don't stop to think about the deal. Then maybe there's a judgment lien. And instead of stopping and they order a payoff just automatically on it. No. Now maybe you've kicked, you know, the sleeping dog out there. Because A, is that judgment lien even the seller's?
Yeah, does it belong to that
At the time, it's not. You know, is it even valid, knowing the life expectancy of these things? And then it is, if it's a homestead, can it be removed through proper legal action? That's what we do. That's what we're good at. You know, then not only is it the legal action, but it's, Mr. Buyer, do you want to leave this lien in place? And your traditional title company goes, what do you mean leave it in place? You got to pay it off. No, you don't. We can move it over to Schedule B, which is our exceptions page. Different in other states, I'm sure. And it can be left on there. Maybe that buyer is buying the home and getting private capital. That private lender goes, yeah, I'm good with it. Ask the questions is what I like to teach our people to do first, to get a clue on what our client, i.e. the buyer, wants to do. Then, based on that, we go back to the seller and let the seller make the determination. In other words, do they want to pay it off in full? Maybe. Do they want to try to negotiate this with the creditor where they pay a part of it for a partial release? Maybe. But don't make that independent decision. It's not our decision to make as a title company. It starts with the buyer who's buying that property they want to do. Then it reverts over to the seller. And so what I like to do is get our people, our staff, educated on that process, step by step, every time, whether it's a judgment lien, IRS lien, mechanics lien, child support, whatever it might be. How do you want to handle it? And then the question becomes, what are the options? You know, Kaela, what I also find out there, and I know I'm yapping a lot here, is I find sometimes buyers and sellers have no idea how to do this.
Right.
They don't know how to handle it. Maybe they're newer to the business, they haven't done it before. Sellers certainly don't know how. That's the whole thing. They don't understand that. They may need to have their hand held a little bit for the decision process. And a lot of times the buyers, the investors who are our clients, they don't understand it. And we've got to tell them what their options are too, so they can pick and choose the way they want that deal to work out. Mm-hmm. And so instead of just being on autopilot, like so many title companies and escrow officers and assistants are, I like to kind of open that up a little bit for that conversation to let our clients make the ultimate decisions out there.
Now, as he speaks about this, he's not saying leave liens in place and just let it go. He's saying he's more talking about communicating with everybody and making sure that lien, you know, we could do what we need to do with that lien and to take care of it.
Absolutely,
right?
But it's about communication with buyer and with seller. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, it's about determination. Then it's about communication, and then it's letting them dictate what to do, not us dictating to them what to do. And I see that so often in the industry, unfortunately. But that's really, to me, what sets us apart. Closing the deal, pretty easy. You know, getting title work in 2, 3, 4 days, which is, we're all the same. I don't care. I don't care what title company you go to. Nobody gets title work in 6 hours. So you get lucky and get it in a day? Rarely. But can you?
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes we
2,
can.
3 days?
No.
Usual? 4 days? Yeah. And then every situation is a little bit different. If you're in outlying counties, you know, okay, you get out of your main counties where your main plants are, things slow down.
Yes.
So don't tell me you can close a deal in a day. You can't get title work in that quick unless it's already in.
Right.
If you're opening title new. But again, you know, we're pretty much all on the same footing. There's no special scenario or magic pill you can take that gets you something faster in the industry out there. We all deal with the same plants. We all do the same thing. And typically we're dealing with the same underwriters. I'm going to bring one more thing up too.
Okay.
It's underwriters.
Yeah.
You know, underwriters are a little bit different, but it's also learning how to present things properly to an underwriter. I just gave you one the other day about does a child who was adopted, a legal adoption, inherit under their prior parent? I had no clue. You went to the underwriter, boom, you got an answer, right?
Well, actually, first I went and looked at the law on that situation, and I copied the law down and I sent it to the underwriter. I said, "This is what I think, but I want your opinion. Is this correct?" And gave the underwriter the entire situation. And yes, it was correct. That adopted child could get rights from his adopted parents and his prior parents.
Yeah, his legal parents.
Legal parents.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that made the day for our client. It's like,
yeah,
yeehaw. But I had no idea about that. But also, you know, I've had it in one situation where an underwriter came back where a judgment lien had been recorded 9 years after the judgment was rendered. And initially, the underwriter came back and said, "Hey guys, this is good for 10 more years," meaning it would have been good for 19 years. And of course, I had to write back to underwriter and said, I respectfully disagree, and here's why, that the judgment is only valid for 10 years from the date it's rendered, the judgment by the court, not from the recordation. They said, oh, you're right. Got it removed out there, solved the problem, went on. Yeah. But it's having that ability to recognize that and having someone who knows the law to ask those kind of questions. I'm not saying that there aren't other good lawyers out there who understand that. But in the investment world where we live, this, and also this creative finance world with subject to transactions and wraparounds, we then go into this thing called compliance that your regular title company has no idea about. And they don't, that's not their job to know those kind of things. It's supposed to be the investor's job, et cetera, but they don't know what it is. Yeah. And so what we try to do, I hate to use the word police the industry in a sense, but we do. But, you know, if someone's doing one of these creative transactions subject to wraparounds, there are certain rules and regulations, at least here in Texas, that you have to understand. Are they complying with those or not? Sellers have no idea what those are. They have none. They shouldn't know that. That's not their business. If the investor's buying that house, that investor should know, but so often they don't know.
That's true.
And so we get a chance to step up and advise them, hey guys, you really need to do X, Y, and Z. We can help you. We can put it all together. Now they're compliant. The deal rolls through, and it happens. I was just on the phone last night at 6:30 with a client who's getting title insurance through us. It was her very first deal. She had no idea of any of the things that were required. She was brand new. 12 years as a realtor, great agent, obviously. And I got the chance to walk her through things, take care of it, put it together for her. She goes, got it. Can we close in 2 days? No, we can't. It's going to take a little bit longer, but not much, and we'll get it done for you. She was happy. She understood. That's all she was looking for. Because title company A, where they were, had no clue. Title company B had no clue. They found the right people who found us. Boom, boom, made her day. That's rewarding.
It is.
When you can do that, where you can help your seller, help your buyer, help the agent get that deal done.
Yeah, it is. Now at our office, we've got a legal side and we have our first option title side. And in our office, legal does things for our title. Talk about like doing affidavit of heirships and what all the legal side does for us. So we can say the right things in title.
Yeah, you know, in the industry, Kaela, there are escrow officers who want to practice law without a license. They want to do the heirship affidavits. They want to draft all those kind of things up. And the problem is are they doing things the right way? They might have a form to be filled out. Awesome. But the problem is it's not about the form. It's about asking the questions. It's knowing what the law is. And, you know, so often what I see is you know, mom has passed away. The first question is was there a dad? Okay. Were mom and dad married when dad died? And what happened here? Did they own this house at that point in time? Did dad have any prior marriages or not? I mean, oh my gosh, I just had a deal in San Antonio where I find out at the closing table that dad had died. It's like, why didn't I know this? You know, because the contract had dad on there, et cetera, and it was just wrong. Mm-hmm. And I had to go back in, make all the changes appropriately. Then I find out that dad had a prior marriage and a prior child. So mom, who thought she owned 100% of the house, only owned 50% of the house. And then there was a minor child involved. And it's like, oh my goodness. And I had to pull them back, stop the closing, go, okay, here's what has to happen, A, B, C, D. We were able to put that deal together, get it closed, make buyer and seller happy, let them work together on a few things, but close that deal, made the buyer happy, seller is happy, they're working together to finalize a few things. But it's that knowledge base that the traditional escrow officer does not do. And you know, again, it's like heirship affidavits, there is a time and a place to use an heirship affidavit. You just don't do one blindly. Maybe you should do a probate. There are other issues. You have to ask questions on behalf of the decedent. What's the situation? You know, what do they have? Stocks, bonds, bank accounts, this, that. Other issues that may be needed to be taken into consideration. And when did they pass away? What's the statute regarding those kind of things? Was there a will? Does the will match up to what the AOH is or not? Mm-hmm. So in that case, should you do a muniment of title instead of a heirship affidavit? And the key really is getting these escrow officers to understand that, but they don't. They want to just blow and go. they think they know the law. They have this modicum of knowledge, but they're really not lawyers, and they don't ask the right questions. And in the day, oftentimes they screw it up.
Yep.
And what they don't realize is they're really practicing law without a license if they're doing that. And they think it's a income stream for them too sometimes. And it's just like, whatever. You can't control that. It is what it is. But in our offices, our lawyers step up. We're going to ask these kind of questions. We're going to view these kind of things and try to get things done the right way. Okay, it may not happen in a day because you don't get the information you need that quick. People, they slow roll this stuff in. You don't get your questionnaire back. You don't get information. They don't fill it out correctly. You got to go back and ask more questions. And there's questions. But that's what separates us out there too, is that knowledge base and ability to look at that kind of stuff to decide what's the best way of going.
Yeah, and not everybody knows in our office, we had 2 attorneys. So, while Scott's going and marketing and getting out and buying properties, we still have another attorney in-house that's there for us. And I think that's what makes it great for us, because we've got people there we can go to and say, hey, we're not attorneys, we're escrow officers. So we need help with this. So I think that makes us different.
You always
as well.
have backup. We always try to be there and take care of things. But it's just having that ability to look at a deal, especially one that has a lot of hair on it, as we say, some issues that are out there, where one of us can stop and go, okay, let's really hyperanalyze this to make sure it's appropriate. And by doing that, you protect the seller, you protect the buyer, get that deal done, you get it closed.
Yep. So we have offices. We have an office in Arizona, and we have an office in Dallas-Fort Worth, and we have an office in San Antonio. And we're always traveling back and forth, going to visit our offices. So if you're in those areas, we'd love to see you in all of our office. Come visit us. We'll close with you.
Yep.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
If you're in the investment industry, guys, we close transactions statewide, nationwide.
Yes.
With title insurance available and all those things. We want to be that one-stop shop for our real estate investment community out there. So take a minute, guys. Visit us over at firstoptiontitle.com. You can visit us at Horne & Associates PC, horneandassociates.com. You can also go to theownerfinancenetwork.com, where all of our services are listed as well. We look forward to helping you guys out in your next deal.
That's right. Anytime. We're here for you.